All right, so let's look at a wireless roam within a wireless controller within the same mobility group. So we're looking at a roam, a client is roaming in the same mobility group. This is a layer 2 intercontroller roam. All right, intercontroller roam. First off, let's take a look at our current config. Our current config shows that we are currently connected to this wireless LAN controller here with this client. Okay. So our point of presence and our point of attachment is on the same controller on here. We have the same mobility client and mobility agent right there. So this is our, excuse me, this is our current configuration. We're ready, we're set to go, we're passing traffic up to the campus. But now the client roams to the other access point. And this other access point in our environment is actually connected to this controller up here. I'm going to change colors on you. This controller up here. So now we're connected to a different controller within the same mobility group. So how does this take place? So our user has roamed. We've moved over. We now send a new controller mobility message. This is exchanged between controllers. The new controller sends a controller message to the old controller using mobility messages. And this allows associations to start to take place. Now, step number 4 in this process is we are going to have any new security context or any new associations take place on this new controller. Remember, this wireless LAN controller, although in the same mobility group, might have different VLANs associated, some type of security context, maybe even different types of authentication. So we have to be aware of the authentication process and use. Next up, after all that is done, we've exchanged a new controller mobility message. We've exchanged the security if needed. It may not be needed in most cases. Next up, we are going to exchange the entire context of the client list. So everything's going to be moved over, as you see. We're going to move over the entire mobility complex of this associated client. So this client's point of presence and point of attachment is going to be moved to this upper controller now. So we've completely handed off the client to the other controller in our environment. And last but not least, once that is completed, step 6, the final step of this process is now the new wireless LAN controller that's controlling traffic here will move traffic through the campus architecture for this client. Now, this roaming process is completely invisible to the user. The user has no idea any of this is taking place. They just walked from one building to another, from one floor to another, where there's different wireless LAN controllers using the same group. But this is the process that takes place. The most important one is the point of presence and the point of attachment movement. This allows the traffic to move through that new wireless LAN controller. Okay, so let's look at a layer 3 roam, inter-controller roam within a mobility group. Now, this is going to be a little bit different. Now, obviously, we start off at the same point here. We have an AP. This AP has a wireless LAN controller it is associated to. The point of presence and point of attachment is both here at this layer within our environment. So our traffic is routed up through the campus through that wireless LAN controller. But now let's say our wireless user, our wireless client is going to move. Oh, that guy, he's constantly moving around in our environment. And what's going to happen is the new controller is going to ask for mobility messages, just like we saw in the last environment, right? When we saw that layer 2 roam, step 2 was to get the mobility messages exchanged. Nothing changes here. This wireless LAN controller now with this new attempted association is going to say, oh goodness, I need some of the information about this client if you have it, if you have any authentication, if you have anything else, any new security context, again, exactly the same as it was in our old environment, is going to be have to take place. So step 3, we're going to copy the client the client information through the mobility controller messages. Not all the information, just the basics on the client. Then we're going to actually look to see if there's new security requirements for this user. Because we've moved wireless LAN controllers, there may be something in place. Once we've done that, that's when things change, right? We talked about a layer 2. This layer 3 is different now because we may have a different IP scheme on this side of the bar, right? This could be a different IP scheme. We have to figure out how this client could now keep its original IP address and all the original types of configuration. So what's going to take place here is very simple. The point of attachment for this client is going to change. The POA is going to move, as you see, it's already done in this environment, to the new wireless LAN controller. However, we are not going to take the point of presence. The point of presence is going to stay on the old wireless LAN controller. Traffic is going to be tunneled back to the original controller. This means I get to keep my IP address, don't I? Because I'm communicating directly with what? I'm communicating, this is all layer 2 to my wireless LAN controller. So I can keep my IP address because this is all tunneled back to my original wireless LAN controller. Step 6, point of presence stays on the original wireless LAN controller. Then traffic is tunneled back, like we said, and when it needs to move out into the campus environment, this original wireless LAN controller moves this traffic. Now, I know what you guys are saying. This is fairly complicated. Why would we do this in our environment? Again, this is based on the utilization of keeping my IP address. This might be a completely different subnet over here. I may be using a different subnet right here on that link, which would cause all the other clients in this touching this wireless LAN controller to be using a different IP, a DHCP pool or a different IP pool. So if I want to keep connectivity without having to reassociate this client, I can do a layer 3 intercontroller roam, right? We're going to have that EOIP or CAPWAP tunnel. This is going to move information for us. So we are tunneling back. This is an anchor now, an anchor wireless controller in our roaming environment.